Health Diary, brought to you by Brookside Dairy Plus. Live Life Plus with Brookside.
Well, hi there. It's good to see you right here on Health Diary. My name is Winnie Lubembe, and today we're coming to you from Brave Care Consulting Offices. Now, we'll be focusing on nutrition and cerebral palsy. And the bigger question is, what exactly is the nutritional needs for a child or an adult with cerebral palsy? Because there are trouble when it comes to movement, their muscles as well. Some have weak, some have stiff muscles, cases of constipation. So what exactly is good for them when it comes to nutrition? Well, let's find out after this fact of the matter.
Macronutrient intake is vital for maintaining health and preventing diseases throughout life. They enable the body to produce enzymes, hormones, and other substances that are essential for proper growth and development. Common deficiencies include vitamin A, folate, iodine, iron, and zinc. Strategies like fortification and biofortification help combat deficiencies.
All right, we understand how how important nutrition is for literally everybody. But today on the conversation, we'll be focusing on nutrition and cerebral palsy. And to help us with that conversation, on my immediate left, we have Mercy Werimu, who's a counseling psychologist. Good to have you on the show. Karibu sana. And we also have George Omolo. At this point, he's already resident nutritionist. George is a nutritionist and a president, Kenya Nutrition and Dietetic Students Association. Karibu sana on the show. At what point do you sort of like get to know that, say, the child has cerebral palsy?
It is actually quite common because this means that when the brain of the child has undergone injury, and from that moment they need to go into understanding the condition as the parent, and as the caregiver has to be there all the time for this child. So it is quite a complicated condition, being that this child may not get to do things for themselves in the long run, and they fully depend on the parent. Yes.
And it varies from, in terms of severity, it also varies,
yes,
right?
It does vary from mild to severe.
To severe.
Yes.
Okay, we'll come back to you to understand then what does it look like when you say mild, when you say severe, and at what point do we usually get the diagnosis? Because I've had a lot of people say below 2 years you can't diagnose and say a child has, say, cerebral palsy, but we'll come back to understand if that's true or not. But George, nutrition, right? And we're talking about nutrition during pregnancy and even, after delivery and for a baby with cerebral palsy. Can we just get to understand how important nutrition is, say, yes, to a pregnant mom?
Nutrition is very important because if you look at the contributing factors to get cerebral palsy, one of them would be maternal infections during pregnancy. Some of the infections, for example, rubella, toxoplasmosis, if they have it. And then you also look at maternal health problems during pregnancy. Okay. If, for example, if they have things like bad nutrition, also eventually may lead to that. But also you're looking at things like preterm babies, okay, or baby born of low birth weight, multiple births as well. So those will be the contributing factors or risk factors that, yes, can lead to that. But as Mercy has said, this cerebral palsy, of course, comes as a result of injury to the developing brain. Yeah. And the injury causes may be many, lack of oxygen, for instance, again, infections or toxins that come. We also have things like damage of the white matter of the brain, which is, the white matter forms the 60% of the brain. So if it is damaged preterm, it can also lead to cerebral palsy. But why is nutrition important? Yeah. Because most of the patients who suffer from cerebral palsy, they have a high risk of suffering from malnutrition. Okay. In fact, 60% of them suffer from malnutrition. Okay. And they suffer from malnutrition because we have things like difficulty in chewing and swallowing. So they are not able to consume, the adequate nutrients because they have difficulty in chewing, swallowing, and also they suffer from gastro-reflux issues. Yeah. So you find certain kinds of foods you cannot give them. If a food is too greasy, too acidic, too spicy, they cannot use them again. Then you're also looking at, it's easy for them also to suffer from micronutrient deficiencies.
Okay.
Because remember, because they cannot swallow, they cannot chew, which means they cannot take certain kinds of food, especially food that are caloric dense. So you find they may easily suffer from micronutrient deficiencies, and even, of course, malnutrition. So all these factors, when you put them together, you find that nutrition is a very important aspect.
Yeah.
And they need a specialized nutrition care to ensure that they grow, well.
And Mercy, when we're talking about, yes, the diagnosis part, at what point do you usually say, get the diagnosis, and what do the symptoms look like, varying from, like you said, mild to severe?
Okay, I'm from the time from delivery, it should be the medical practitioner should be able to identify a few patterns that are not regular with normal milestones, and this would be maybe the position of the neck of the child, and eventually with the sitting. If the baby is not able to sit within 8 months, then there's need to be to do other observation with time, and if the milestones are not met at the allocated time by the medical because as children are growing, there's at every stage of their life there's the developmental stages they're supposed to pick. So if the child is not picking, and with a regular checkup, and the medical team should be able to pick that and advise the child's parent or guardian accordingly. And this mostly is during the clinic checkups, when the baby is being taken for the immunization, and the parents should be able to now start to learn more if there's anything at all that they need to start doing. If it's physio, at what point should they start doing the physiotherapy? Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And symptoms, do you want to just mention a little bit? I know you talked about a little bit on the milestones and,
yes,
and probably the neck placement. Any other thing that probably a parent should be, keen on observing on the child?
Mostly it's to do with the movement, the limbs. If there are times that the limbs will be floppy, if there's no proper coordination, because some of the patients are going to have poor coordination of limbs, and the speech. If the speech, even the usual small words, if the child is not able to interact with the other children, if they're not able to just say a few words, the mumbling, if they're not able to say a few words like mama, then this should be, a sign that something needs to be checked more closely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course, we understand what you're saying, that nutrition is important. But then again, so how do you support this? How do you know what they need in terms of nutrition?
Okay. I think now when you look at, this is what we call the limiting factors for cerebral palsy. And these are the challenges that restrict independence, and quality of life, for that patient. And there are a variety of them. One of them, of course, is movement limitation. So, and you find they're not able to move because, like we say, there's stiffness of muscle, weak muscle, and those kind of things. Now, from a nutrition standpoint, we can then relate that to nutrition deficiencies. So when there's movement limitation, that would translate to deficiency in calcium, deficiency in vitamin D, deficiency in phosphorus, and of course, even deficiency in energy, protein, malnutrition. So when you have that knowledge behind your mind, so it's very easy when you are developing dietary recommendations, you can put those into consideration. The second limiting factor is communication barrier. Like I said, most of them are not able to, to speak out their hunger issues or thirst or food preferences. So most of them, they are left at the mercy of the caregiver, to decide when to feed them. And see, that also is a big problem because it's easy for them to undergo, undernutrition. Because this child might be angry, but they're not able to speak. Yeah. So how will you know? Yeah. They'll depend on the perception of the caregiver of feeding. Yeah. And that's a problem. But then in nutrition standpoint, we can relate that again to deficiencies of energy and protein. We can relate that to deficiencies of folic acid, folate. Yeah. Then the other issue, another limiting factor is fine hand movement. They're not able to move their hands, And this is a problem because that means they'll not be able to self-feed themselves. And the mealtime must also be longer. Yeah. But also imagine if they're self-feeding, then it's easy to have food spillage. Food will be spilling down. So in that process also, they may not take in enough nutrients They may lose a lot of calories in the process and a lot of nutrients as well. But then in terms of nutrition standpoint, we can relate that to deficiencies again. You look at folic acid, you look at folate, you look at deficiencies of B vitamins. And in terms of minerals, it's zinc and selenium. So if I'm developing a nutrition recommendation for this patient, I'll have to have that in consideration in that plate.
Yeah.
Then you've mentioned even another limiting factor is chronic pain and seizure. They suffer a lot of chronic pain. And that again will relate to deficiency in magnesium, calcium, and vitamin D. And again, if you look at seizure, it's a very complex discussion, which I think it's good we mention, because they suffer from convulsion, and most of them are put into anticonvulsant medication. Yeah. They can either do phenytoin, carbamazepine, or phenobarbital. Now, the problem with this medication, they reduce the amount of vitamin D in our system. They exacerbate vitamin D deficiencies for those kinds of patients. And that also will exacerbate bone health problems. So what you're saying, when a patient is on this medication, anticonvulsants, supplementations of calcium, vitamin D is a must.
Okay. And then also we're due on a break, but the nutritional need varies from the severity, would you say?
Yes, it varies again. Because again, if you look at their energy requirements also differ. Yeah. We have those who are immobile. Their movement is restricted, so they can't move along. So those ones, of course, will need lower calories because they're not moving. They may not need that much. But then you find there are others who are very active. Their muscle tone is very high. So for them, you'll need high glucose, high calories. Okay. So it depends. The energy requirements also differs with the type of cerebral palsy the patient is having. But even another one is also you look at the fiber requirement. Because remember, they also suffer from constipation a lot. Yes. So they may need fiber to sort that out. But then again, this will need strict observation with a nutritionist. Okay. Because again, if you give fiber unsupervised, the patient may suffer from choking. Okay. Yeah. And they may choke. So it needs to be supervised to be able to handle the constipation. There's also, we encourage them to use ketogenic diets for those who are suffering severe convulsions. So ketogenic diet is a diet that has high fat, low carbohydrate, and adequate proteins. Because again, we don't want to give something which is very high in carbohydrates. Yes, so that we want to change their energy level from glucose source to ketone source. But then also that needs supervision. Because again, if you get unsupervised, it may lead to other problems as well. Yeah. So it needs very specialized, close monitoring and a qualified nutritionist to make sure that nothing goes wrong. Okay. Yeah,
because we all understand how support is important, both for the caregiver and for the child as well. So do you want to just talk a little bit about it in terms of, and also the role of nutrition in supporting mental health for both the caregiver and the patient as well, in like 30 seconds. Is that enough?
Yes. I think the most important thing for the caregiver is to realize that it takes a community. And sometimes they shy away from getting the help that they truly need this help. So just coming out and bringing this child out, because there are some cases that if it is not so severe, the child is able to integrate with the community, with fellow children. So if they're not getting the self-care as a caregiver, they are going to hide themselves, and they're going to hide the child. They are going to shy away from getting either mental health support. And also letting the child learn through interaction if it is not so severe. Because we do realize that when you leave a child to interact with others, there's that which they pick from others.
And joining us right now is Mercy, not Mercy. Mercy was in the first episode. Yeah, Carol is a caregiver and a mom to a child with cerebral palsy. Her name is Precious, right? Yeah. And she's also the founder of Precious Blessing Cerebral Palsy Foundation. Karibu sana, on the show. So earlier on, we were talking about nutrition and how important it is, right? But can we just get to know a little bit about Precious? Tell us a little bit about her. And you smile when you talk about her, which is really good to see. Yeah. But yes, let's get to know a little bit about Precious.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate to be on this show and share our journey and also generally speak about cerebral palsy. Yeah, Precious Blessing is our daughter, our third born, and it happened that she has this condition that is called cerebral palsy, and it's a severe case. It's unfortunate that she got it during delivery at the hospital. And that was due to doctor's negligence. Yeah, it was bad, but then we just decided to forgive and focus on taking care of our child and moving on. Yeah, so she's a third-degree child. That means severe case, whereby she's on a wheelchair, she's nonverbal, she can't do anything for herself. It means that her caregiver 24/7, such that even when she's sleeping, I must go and turn her, like facing one side. If I don't go to turn her, she will face one side until morning. So it is that serious. But she's a blessing. She's such a sweet girl. Yeah. And she's a blessing to many. Because through her, we have what we call Precious Blessing Cerebral Palsy Foundation that caters for 100 other CP kids like her. Yes, so she's a blessing.
It is a blessing. It really is a blessing. So when you look at her nutrition, what is it like? What is like your day-to-day when it comes to ensuring that she's not just fed, but also gets all the nutrition that she needs?
Okay. For one, we start with a balanced diet food. That means her food is, it's giving her the energy that she needs. So in a day, I'll make sure that she gets carbohydrates, she gets vitamins, she also gets protein. Yeah, so if it's like a simple meal like ugali, so it will be ugali, vegetables, green vegetables, that will be either spinach or what we call terere or mchicha. Yeah, and then maybe meat also, or an egg. And then I'll blend them together, and then I'll give her. And then she also have a cup of milk to take it down. Yeah. Yeah. And also fruits. Before I forget, that one has to be on a daily basis. Yeah, it helps with the digestion also. Yeah.
All right. And at what intervals, probably, when it comes to her feeding? What does it look like?
3 hours.
Also, after every 3 hours, at least she has something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just probably to bring you in, in this case book, she also talked about blending, and I know for many people there will be that concern that when you blend, probably you're sort of like taking away certain nutrients, but then again you can't give her whole food because of the risks that we talked about. So yeah, what would be your comment on the same in terms of not just what you give, but how you give, and also the preparation of the foods as well?
Yeah, that's a very important aspect, because again, you look at some of the difficulties of cerebral palsy patient is feeding. They are not able to chew and swallow. So of course they cannot take the kind of food that we take. So the food has to be special. It has to be a textured food that is so soft. It has to be very soft, so that it doesn't, they be able to swallow it without any problem. Because if it is not soft, again, they may choke from that food, and you want to prevent that.
You do not want that,
But then again, you have those who may not be able to take, the soft food because of one reason or another. Then you can use enteral feeding, the tube feeding, which can be done in the hospital, but even at our home setup. So again, and you see, the severity and the condition of the types differ. And one cerebral palsy patient may not be the same as the other. They're all different. That's why we talk about individualized care. The way I take care of one may not be necessarily the way the other one will be taken care of, because their needs are different. Like I said, if one is immobilized, their energy, they may not need much calories. Because they're immobilized. But if you have someone who has a higher muscle tone, then you have to give calories. So you see, their needs are different. So you cannot have a blanket, food guideline for all of them. No, it cannot be the same. But of most important, they have to take a balanced food. That balanced diet is very important. And we have to focus on some of the nutrients that it's easy to develop deficiencies. We've talked about calcium, because there are movement limitation. We've talked about vitamin D. We have talked about phosphorus. We've talked about iron and iodine. Remember also, they have problem with intellectual disability. So you have to make sure that they take foods which are rich in iron and iodine, because those two are important for brain development. Yeah, so they take that. And we've also talked about calcium, vitamin D, phosphorus for the bone. Hydration is also very important. They have to drink enough water. That is very important. Then, of course, we've talked about fiber, but that needs supervision, because fiber is good for constipation. But then again, if it's not supervised, it can choke the child.
So then what are some of the sources for these nutrients which are very important for a child or even an adult with cerebral palsy?
Now, for example, one of the most important is we've isolated vitamin D and calcium. let's talk about the child has to be exposed to sunlight. That's the easiest and the most natural way. For both vitamin D absorption and synthesis. So I know many parents have stigma. There are a lot of myths around cerebral palsy. So most of them are afraid to, bring their children out. So they are kept in their houses. And see, that even worsens their condition. So it's good to expose them to, of course, sunlight. And of course, you mentioned milk. Milk is a good source because it has all the 13 nutrients that we are looking for. We are looking for calcium, vitamin D. We are looking for protein. We are looking for phosphorus, manganese, zinc, folate. All of them are available in milk. So milk consumption will be very important for this child because you have everything. And remember, milk is a liquid. So if they're not able to take the other food sources, they can still take the liquid. Because they can take.
And Carol, what have we learned so far? And has the sort of like the diet changed over time? Because George, I think you mentioned this earlier on, where sometimes they're not able to communicate their preferences. So has that changed over time? What is it that you've learned or you're continuing to learn as far as her nutritional needs?
Well, even though she's nonverbal, but there's a way we communicate through sounds. There's a sound that she'll produce, and then I know maybe she means she's thirsty, she means she's hungry, she means she's uncomfortable maybe with the visitors. She means she needs a diaper change. So with food, it's a bit sensitive. But then I came to realize this later on. I noted like a certain food I could give her, and then there's a way she could react like. And then I got to know, like, this one, it means she doesn't want it.
Like it.
Sure. And I can tell you when I changed, the next meal, she really enjoyed it.
And you also said you run a foundation, right? Over, 100 now? Patients, children, parents. So what is like the biggest concern, say, that you would say probably cuts across when it comes to nutrition? Because based on what George has said, it's very intensive and also needs a lot of supervision from the caregiver and also from a nutritionist. So what is like one of the biggest concerns that probably you've had?
About nutrition and the CP kids, sometimes they are underweight. Underweight, most a big number. And this is because they are not able to eat the normal food that we take or the whole family is taking. So that's where we come in with the branding. So like for us, initially I used to cook 2 sufurias of food. Like if as we are taking a very and maybe with potatoes and such, and then I could also prepare another sufuria for precious food. But with the time, by that time, I never used to blend her food. For some reasons, doctors will discourage you from, blending. But then you are like, my baby is severe. She has this severe condition. She's not able to swallow, nicely. Even if I don't, blend the food. But then I do what? That just like mashing. But then she's still not able to swallow well. And then she get choked. Now, in case of I lose my baby. Just because of I can't blend the food. So I was like, no, here is where we say, doctor, aside, it's me and my child. You do what's best
for your child.
True. And that's what I did. So nowadays, if we are eating ugali and the veggies and maybe with the meat or omena, but the Precious loves omena. I will blend the same food we are eating as a family. I'll blend that food and she will eat it.
So before we take your parting shots, probably, George, do you want to speak a little bit on supplementation as well? And the role that it plays in like 30 seconds?
Yes, and in fact, also mention what they should not take.
Yes, please.
Because we have to realize that they suffer from GI reflex. So there are certain kinds of food they're not supposed to take. If the food is acidic, it's not good for cerebral palsy patient. If a food is greasy, it's not good. When a food is spicy, also not recommended. Again, now, what is most recommended? We've talked about the fiber, low-fat food. Supplementation is important. First of all, you said, especially if they are taking anticonvulsant medication. Those anticonvulsant medication, they inhibit vitamin D absorption. So the more they take them, the more their vitamin C reduces. So they have to supplement with vitamin D and C. And we start from 2,000 international units for vitamin D, vitamin C, 600 to 100 milligram. So that supplementation is important.
Thanks, George. And Carol, just to bring this to a close, Kamara he's speaking to caregivers as well. Because also George mentioned, or was it Mercy, that some parents might be scared to even expose their children to the sun, for vitamin D. So what is it that you'll tell them, having, being in this journey and continuing to take care of your baby Precious?
Yeah, I would like to speak to caregivers. Yeah, the parents. Caregivers doesn't have to be necessarily parents.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes it's somebody who is employed
Yes,
just to do
to
that.
take care.
Yeah, so to the special needs parents, to the PWD, to the caregivers, let's expose our children. Yeah, I'm a good example of the Precious. Yeah, we take Precious out. Yeah. Around our place in town, like now we were in town, just pushing the wheelchair. Let people look at you. It's okay. But at the end of the day, give your child a life.
Yeah.
Let your child enjoy life. Let the child see, another environment. Don't mind about the stairs. Those are normal, by the way. Yeah, because for one, you are living differently. So ask yourself, this is what I did to myself before I came into terms agreeing that our Precious is a special needs child and I'll need to expose her and love her. Ask myself, what if I'm the one who is having this condition that Precious is having? How could I have wanted people to take me? And of course, I said I would have wanted people to love me, to just cherish me, treat me well, just make me feel I'm a person and I matters. And that's what we do to Precious. And each day, ask God to give you the grace. Each day, that's what I do. Unlike today, may not be like yesterday. Today, you can wake up and find the child is sick. Yesterday, the baby was okay. So each day, you need a new dose of grace. Yeah, each day, grace for that day. And God is faithful. For the last 10.5 years, we've been doing this, joyfully. I've seen God taking us through. And also, reach out to people. One thing that I tell people, always seek advice from people who have, older special needs kids, because they have experiences than you. So they are better, even in advice. Yeah, they'll advise you. And life will be a little bit better.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just reach out to you through the Precious Blessing,
Cerebral
Palsy Foundation, so that you can help as many people. Thank you so much, Carol. Really, really well said. Carol Chege is a caregiver and a mom to Precious, who has cerebral palsy, but also the founder, Precious Blessing Cerebral Palsy Foundation. Thank you so much. And George Molo, our resident nutritionist, right? As well as the president, Kenya Nutrition and Dietetics Students Association as well. Thank you so much, George, for your time today. Well, time now for you to take a look at this health tip.
On today's health tip on screening and early detection of breast cancer, this tip is for all women over 40. Do not wait for October. We continue to run our screening services throughout the year. October and February, we usually have discounted prices for our mammograms and breast ultrasounds, but you don't have to always wait for October. You can always come any time of the year.
Well, nutrition plays a very important role, and especially when we're talking about patients with cerebral palsy, because according to statistics, over 60% of cerebral palsy patients are undernourished. So it is important to watch their intake and also how you prepare their meals to ensure that they get the best nutrition and grow up in a healthy manner. Listen, if you have any other question, feel free to engage with us on our social media platforms down at the bottom of your screen. But for now, allow us to say goodbye, and a special thanks to Brave Care Consulting for hosting us today, and Brookside Plus, Live Life Plus for sponsoring today's episode. My name is Winnie Lubembe. Until next Sunday, adios.
With Brookside.
Brookside Plus Probiotic Yogurt provides you the goodness of good bacteria for a healthy gut and a good immune system.